What's up, gang? Wanted to do a little, I guess, reflection piece or follow-up piece on the 600-pound deadlift and the marathon vlog that I did, and got a lot of, I guess, traction, a lot of PR. Did a little article in Runner's World with it. It was pretty awesome, and really honored and humbled by the feedback, the positive, words of encouragement. I mean, it's always amazing. And of course, there's the individuals, I guess you could say the haters, the skeptics, the cynics, the criticisms, and it was fun to get lost in some of the comments and to listen to that stuff. But there was way more positive, which was awesome, and obviously, everyone that I know was super nice. But there's always the vocal minority out there. So I wanted to address some of that stuff, and the reason why is because I do think that I wasn't super clear on my intentions, my training, and the purposes behind it. But with that said, I think it highlighted my point even more. That's why I wanted to bring it up. So, there were, the individuals came out of the woodworks with, people that have done amazing feats of like deadlifting a lot of weight and running marathons, whatever it might be, and then their training methodology associated with it, and which is really awesome. And still, you could, there's multiple aspects of, when you think about certain things, is that I wanted to do something on the same day. I think that just because you can do something, whether it is on a Monday than a Friday, that's a little different than doing something on the same day. And that to me proves ready state fitness. It also is a proof of concept for me and how I train, and what I believe in is that I don't think that you need to be as perfectly ready to attempt any challenge than you really think you need to be. So that was the purpose behind that. I also didn't know if I was going to be able to complete it. Really, the deadlift, it was a 30-pound PR. So, I mean, I was attempting it, but I was able to achieve that. So, in and of itself, that for me I was a little more nervous for that than the marathon run, even though I'd never done anything near that distance in the run. So that was one aspect there, is that when you compare apples to apples, well, what have you done in the same day? Right? And I think that's important. Like, well, have you done that? If not, then you haven't done that. Well, I've done something like it. Nobody cares, right? I've done a lot of things, kind of, sort of. But when you go, you got to do exactly what you're being asked to do. And that for me was doing the deadlift and the marathon in one day. Check. Another thing was that I've never specifically trained for it. And I used CrossFit training methodology to prepare, like I've been doing for the past, 10 plus years. And there are a lot of people that were like, different trainings, I don't do CrossFit, I do this. Well, remember, CrossFit's prescription is variance, functionality, and intensity. Whether you call it CrossFit or not is up to you, and however you want to skin that cat. But for me, the longest run I went on was 13 miles, and then maybe 4 or 5 runs that, were, between 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 miles. So not a lot. A little more, touched a little bit. I deadlift a handful times more than I normally do in training. And all of that was to try to achieve the goal, but never specialize, never deviate from general physical preparedness, never deviate from the workouts that we did day in and day out at the gym, following my hand plan programming, all that stuff, which really proves that there's a phenomenal broad base of fitness. And that was another aspect that I wanted to show, is that CrossFit works, and it works at either end of the spectrum. Now, this feat could be equally impressive, if not more, if someone walks up to a bar, snatches 300 pounds in the morning, and then goes and runs a marathon. And again, I still would hold true that anyone that could do something like that is in the CrossFit community. I don't think I'm unique, and by no means do I think I'm the fittest person in the world or have done something unearthly. Maybe I did something that no one's ever done before, but doesn't mean I'm the only one. But I do think that anyone that can attempt such extremes is within the CrossFit community, such as snatch 300 pounds or clean and jerk, 315 plus, and then run a marathon. I know those people, and I know that they could do it, which is awesome. And that was the proof of concept. And if you're training with variance, functionality, intensity, and you're not calling it CrossFit, that's fine, but that is what CrossFit is. And take inspiration from it, but GPP programming, following through with the methodology that we see in CrossFit, that's what CrossFit does. It produces fitness better than we've seen anywhere else. And in hindsight, I think that, if I were to let ego get in the way and be like, this is the only thing that I could do. Like, yeah, I would have done Fran that day. I would have done 30 muscle ups for time later in the afternoon. I would have done something that really, what shows that CrossFit is amazing is, yeah, deadlifting and running, is it amazing? I don't really necessarily think so, because you can train specifically for that, and people have. A few people tagged me in certain people's names that they've done like an ultra marathon and like a 600 or 700 pound deadlift, which is amazing. But, you know, on Wednesday, I did Fran in about 2 minutes and 11 seconds because that was the workout of the day. And and then the next day did a squat clean workout with handstand push-ups, 60 strict handstand push-ups and 60 squat cleans at 185, and going down the list. And these are things that separate true fitness from other programs, is that you throw a task at someone that does CrossFit, they usually can do it. They're not going to be the best, but there's really nothing that they can't do. And that was the point of this. And there's no one out there that can say that other than the CrossFit community. And if you say that you can do that, most likely you've done something like CrossFit training methodology. Whether you've called it that or not, who cares? So I wanted to let that rest and let the haters know that, or the critics or the cynics or the vocal minority, is that just because you've been close to it, still 540 pounds is not 600 pounds. I mean, so it's one of those things where let it live, let it ride, and you don't need to congratulate. For me, it's not that big of a deal. It was amazing, a very fun and special day, but I don't need that. But when you are criticizing, be very mindful of the education behind that. And the purpose of what I did was to prove general physical preparedness, GPP. That CrossFit training methodology and what I've been doing for 10 years creates a base of applicability to do anything. And yeah, the marathon was amazing. And I truly believe that every CrossFitter out there should run a marathon. It changes your relationship with running. It changed my relationship with running. And it was really awesome. Now you say, let's go a 5 mile run. I say, let's ride. Not that big of a deal. As before I was like, damn, that's a run. So some perspective, some thought process there. But again, we'll close that chapter, which was really awesome. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. And now I can see myself potentially getting a weird addiction to doing like fun and obscure things like deadlifting and running a marathon in the same day. So who knows what's next? But never going to stop training CrossFit. I was able to get back to full-fledged training within 24 hours of running the marathon, which was pretty awesome. The recovery was super easy, felt great, and I've been feeling great. So that's another thing. I wasn't hobbling around for a week. So there's something to it. There's something to it.